Walk out to your porch tomorrow morning and put your hand on the back of the box fan, the side that faces the wall. Drag 2 fingers down the screen stretched across it. What comes off gray on your fingertips is mosquitoes. Hundreds of them. Every one of them flew in and caught itself in the night while you slept, and you never lifted a hand. If you have lain awake in the dark slapping at your own face, this is the morning that ends those nights. That screen costs about $2. The fan about $20, and you likely already own it. That is the whole trap, and it does the same job the spray company charges you $80 to come do, then come do again every 2 weeks until the frost. It will empty the biting air around your chair by the hundreds if your yard is bad. It will not poison your garden. It will not drift onto the children next door. It will not leave a film on your tomatoes. It will not harm the honeybee working your squash blossoms or the dragonfly that eats more mosquitoes than any machine ever built. It only takes the weak fliers that come hunting your breath. I will be honest with you. I am a stubborn man. 37 years on the same ground in Geauga County, Ohio. And in all that time, I have never once paid a man to do what I could do with my own 2 hands. My name is Mose Yoder. I am Amish. And before the end, I am going to tell you why the fellow who sprays your neighbor's yard will never once mention this fan. Not because anyone lied to you, because of who had a reason to keep it quiet. Stay with me. I'm going to show you exactly what I do, in the order I do it, with what it costs and where to find it. The parts, the build, which takes about 10 minutes, where to set it, which matters more than the fan itself. And the one small thing nearly everyone gets backwards, which is the difference between a fan that annoys mosquitoes and a fan that buries them. By the end of this, you will know how to clear the biting air around your own porch tonight, for less than the cost of a single visit from the spray truck that wants to come back every 2 weeks, all summer long. Let me start with what most folks get wrong about the mosquito, because if you don't understand this one thing, you will go buy candles and torches and zappers, and you will keep getting bitten. You think the mosquito sees you. It does not. Not really, not from any distance. You think it is fast and clever, the way it dodges your hand. It is neither. The mosquito is one of the worst flyers in all of God's creation. At her very best, in still air, working as hard as she can, a mosquito moves about 1.5 miles an hour. That is slower than you walk to the mailbox. A common housefly does 3 times that. Put up a breeze of even 2 miles an hour. A breeze so soft you would not feel it on the hair of your arm. And she is in real trouble. She cannot hold her line. She gets shoved. So, how does something that slow and that blind find you in the dark every single time? She smells your breath. Every time you exhale, you let out a little cloud of carbon dioxide. It drifts off you on the still night air like a ribbon. And the female mosquito, the only one that bites, can pick up that ribbon from as far as 100 feet away. She finds the edge of it and she flies up it, zigzagging back and forth across the current, the way a hound works a scent line, until the ribbon gets thick and warm and she has found the source, which is you lying there in the dark, breathing. And understand why only the female comes for you. She does not drink your blood for her own supper. She drinks it because she cannot make her edgies without it. The protein in one bite of you becomes the next 100 mosquitoes laid in the puddle by your downspout. That is the whole grim engine of the thing. So she is not flying around your ear for sport. She is on the most important errand of her short life, and your breath is the only map she has to find you. Take the map away, and the errand fails. They have a proper name for it. They call it the carbon dioxide plume. And the steering she does up it has a word too, a long one I will not bother you with. You do not need the word. You need the picture. A blind, slow thing following a ribbon of your own breath straight to your ear. Now hold those two facts in your hand at the same time, because together they are the whole secret. She is a terrible flyer, and she finds you by following a thin, drifting ribbon of air. So what happens when you put a wall of moving air right there between her and you? Two things happen at once, and this is where the fan earns its keep. First, it tears the ribbon apart. The carbon dioxide that used to drift off you in a clean, findable line gets blown into 100 pieces and scattered. She loses the trail. She cannot smell where you are anymore. It is like trying to follow a single thread of smoke after somebody opens the barn door in a gust. The thread is just gone. And second, for the foolish ones that wander in close anyway, the fan becomes a trap. Think of a man trying to wade up a fast spring creek. He is strong, far stronger than any bug, and still the water just picks him up and carries him back downstream. He cannot make headway against it. That is exactly what happens to a mosquito that flies into the draw of a box fan. The air is moving 5-10 times faster than she can fly. She does not get blown away to safety. She gets pulled in, sucked against the back of the fan, and held there. It is not a poison. It is a current of air she was never built to fight. This is not folk magic, and I want to be careful here, because this is the part that lifts the whole thing up out of the realm of old wives and into something you can check yourself. The American Mosquito Control Association, which is the body of actual scientists and public health men who study nothing but this insect, comes right out and says it. A large fan on your deck, in their own words, is a low-tech solution, precisely because the mosquito is such a weak flyer. The same people will tell you that the carbon dioxide in your breath is the single strongest draw there is, pulling the female in from up to 35 meters off. That is over 100 feet. And researchers running real field trials have found that an ordinary household fan cuts the number of times you get landed on and bitten with no spray, no chemical, nothing but moving air. It is sitting in the journals. It has been sitting there for years. I will give you their own number for the weakness because it surprised even me. By the association's measure, a mosquito flies at most around 2.5 kilometers per hour. That is 1.5 miles. A common housefly, that fat, slow thing you swat off the windowsill, manages near 3 times that. So when I tell you the mosquito is one of the worst flyers in creation, I am not reaching for a colorful phrase. I am telling you what the men with the letters after their names measured with their own instruments. The wonder is not that a fan stops her. The wonder is that we ever thought we needed anything more. So let me show you how to build the thing. This is the part you came for. You need 3 items. 1, a box fan. The square kind, 20 inches across, with a metal frame if you can manage it, because metal lets you use magnets and it holds up outdoors. If you already own one, you have spent nothing. If you do not, a new one runs about $20 at any hardware store or general store in the housewares aisle, the same shelf as the floor fans. 2, a piece of screen, window screen, the gray fiberglass mesh sold by the foot off a roll in the same aisle as the window repair things, a couple of dollars. If you have an old window screen rusting in the shed, cut a square out of that and you have spent nothing again. 3, something to hold the screen on the back of the fan. 4 little magnets work beautifully on a metal frame. If you have no magnets, a few zip ties through the grill or even clothespins will do. Step 1. Find the side of the fan that pulls air in. Turn it on and hold your hand to both sides. One side pushes the breeze out at you. The other side, the back, sucks air in, and you can feel your hand get tugged gently toward it. That sucking side is the working side of your trap. Everything happens there. Step 2. Lay your screen flat over that sucking side, the intake, and fix it down tight all the way around with your magnets or your ties. Tight is the word. You want it flat against the grill, no sag, no gap at the corner where a mosquito could slip past into the blades. When it is done, it should look like the fan is wearing a flat gray mask on its back. A word: on which screen? Because people ask. Plain gray window screen, the fiberglass kind off the roll, is what I use, and it works fine and costs almost nothing. If you have aluminum screen, that holds even better and lasts for years. If you have neither, a length of tulle, the stiff net cloth from the fabric shelf, the sort used for a wedding veil, will catch them just as well, and you can find it for $1 or $2. What you do not want is anything so fine and tight that it chokes the air and the fan cannot pull through it. The mesh has to breathe. If you hold it up and you can see daylight through the weave, it will work. Window screen breathes. A bedsheet does not. Pick the one that lets the air through and stops the bug. Step 3. Set the fan where you sit. On the porch floor by your chair. On the deck rail by the fire ring. Down at the foot of the picnic table at the family supper. Point the blowing side outward, away from you, into the yard, and let the sucking side, the screen side, face back toward the spot you are protecting. Now plug it in and let it run. That is the trap. That is the whole thing. The mosquitoes that come hunting the breath of everybody sitting there will follow the air, hit the draw of the fan, get pulled onto that screen, and stay there. And here is what I want you to do that nearly nobody does. Leave it running. Do not shut it off after an hour. Let it run all evening. Run it overnight on the porch if the bugs are bad. Come look at that screen in the morning. The first time you do this in a bad yard, you're going to find that gray mesh dusted thick with them. Hundreds, more than you would have believed were out there hunting you, and every one of them caught itself. And when the screen does fill, do not fret over cleaning it like fine china. Once it is gray with them, unplug the fan, take the screen off, and either rinse it under the spigot or, if a few are still stirring, give it a light mist of rubbing alcohol mixed half and half with water, which finishes them and dries off quick. Let it dry, fix it back on, and you are fishing again the next evening. One screen will serve you the whole season. Now here's the part that turns a decent fan into a trap that empties the air. And it is the thing the man at the store will never tell you, because there is nothing on the shelf to sell you with it. It is about where and when, not about the fan. 2 small moves. The first is placement. Do not stand the fan up high, blowing across the open yard like you're trying to cool the whole county. Set it low, down near the ground, because that still, damp, shaded air, down low along the grass and the foundation and the shrub line, is where the mosquito rests and lives during the day and where she comes up from at dusk. A fan up high blows over the top of them. A fan set low, in the shade, out of the wind, and the direct sun, sits right in their world and pulls from where they actually are. The scientists say the same. Shade, low, out of the natural wind. That placement alone can double what that screen catches. The second is timing, and it costs nothing. The mosquito does most of her hunting at dusk and again at dawn, the two soft edges of the day. Those are her hours, so those are the fan's hours. If you only run it for the cookout at 7 and shut it off, you have skipped her busiest shift. Set it out before the sun gets low and leave it through the evening, and you are fishing when the fish are biting. There is one more trick if your yard is truly terrible, and it costs you nothing but a teaspoon of patience. Remember, she is hunting carbon dioxide, the breath. You can give the trap its own bait. A little dark dish of warm water with a spoon of sugar and a pinch of baker's yeast, stirred and will bubble and breathe out its own thin ribbon of carbon dioxide for a day or two, just like you do. Tuck that little cup just behind the fan screen on the intake side. And now the fan is not only stealing the mosquitoes that came for you, it is calling in the ones that had not even found you yet, pulling them across the yard to a breath that leads them straight onto the screen. You become the quiet one in the corner, while the fan does the breathing. If you have followed along this far, and you are the kind of person who keeps the old skills alive, do me one small kindness and follow along here. So the next time I show one of these, the algorithm carries it to one more person who is lying awake getting bitten tonight. That is all I will ask of you. Now let me get to the part I promised would make you a little angry. Here's a fair question. If a $20 fan and a $2 screen will guard your porch all summer, why has no one told you? You have seen the trucks. You have seen the lawn signs that say the yard was just treated. A mosquito barrier spray cost you $70, $100 a visit, and they do not come once. They come every few weeks, all season, because the spray wears off and the bugs come back. And by Labor Day, you have handed over several $100s. The misting systems they plumb into the bushes of the fine houses run $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 installed. And then there is the refill. So ask yourself the plain question. Where is the money in a fan you build once and own forever? There is none. And that is the entire answer. A man cannot run a route, cannot fill a tank, cannot send you a monthly invoice for a box fan you already had in the shed. The fix that has no refill has no salesman. So, it does not get a salesman. The spray that has to be reapplied gets the truck, the sign, the radio advertisement, and the friendly fellow at your door. The fan gets nothing because none is exactly what it would earn anyone. Look the next time you drive your road at the little yard signs stuck by the mailboxes, the ones that say the lawn was just treated. Keep off till it dries. That sign is not really there to warn the children. It is an advertisement planted in your neighbor's grass, paid for by your neighbor without his knowing it, so that you see it on your way past and think the spray is just what a responsible family does now. That is how a thing that has to be bought again builds itself into what everybody assumes is normal. Repetition pays for advertising, and advertising teaches the whole road what to assume. A $20 fan has no budget for any of that, and so it stays the secret of the few who happen to be told. Now I'm going to be careful with you because this is where a man can go wrong and start sounding foolish. I'm not telling you a group of men sat down in a room somewhere and agreed to hide the fan from you. There was no such room. There is no villain twirling his mustache over your mosquito bites. It is quieter and, to my mind, a good deal sadder than that. It is simply that a whole industry makes its living on the thing that has to be bought again. And so the thing that does not have to be bought again is the one thing nobody in that industry will ever stand up and tell you about. No memo went out. None was needed. Money flows toward what repeats, and it flows away from what lasts, and over enough years that current carves out what everybody knows and what nobody mentions. The fan got carved out. Now let me be honest with you about what this trap will not do, because honest is worth more to you than impressive, and a man who only tells you the good half is selling you something. This fan will not kill every mosquito overnight, and it will not clear your whole property. I want to say that plainly, because the promise of clearing every last one is exactly the kind of promise that sells you a $5,000 misting system, and it is not true of that system either. What this fan does is guard a zone, the porch, deck, the patch around the picnic table, the air where you actually sit and breathe. Step 30 feet off into the dark of the yard, and the mosquitoes are still out there because you have carried your protection with you in the fan to where the people are. That is not a weakness. That is the honest shape of the tool. You protect the ground you use, and it does nothing at all to the thing that makes more of them. Every mosquito biting you tonight grew up in standing water somewhere close by, the saucer under the flower pot, the clogged gutter, the old tire, the kiddie pool, the lid of the trash can holding a cup of last week's rain. A thimble of still water is a nursery. The fan kills the grown ones in the air. It will never touch the babies in the water. If you want the numbers to truly fall, you walk your property once a week, and you tip out every bit of standing water you can find, and you keep your gutters running clean. The fan and the bucket together are the answer. The fan alone is half of it. Make it a Saturday morning walk, the same as you would check your fences. Carry an empty coffee can. Turn over the wheelbarrow. Tip the saucers under every pot. Dump the bird bath and fill it fresh, because 7 days is about all the time a mosquito needs to go from egg to wing in warm water. So a bird bath you refresh weekly never finishes raising a single one. Look at the corrugated drain pipe, the boat cover holding a sag of rain, the tarp over the woodpile, the dog's water dish, the gutters above your head. None of it takes an hour. And every cup you pour out is 100 mosquitoes that will never hatch to come find your fan. The man who only runs the fan is mopping the floor with the tap still running. The man who runs the fan and walks the water has shut the tap. While I am being honest, let me save you some money on 2 things you have probably been told to buy. The citronella candle. The mosquito control scientists themselves will tell you a citronella candle does little more than any candle that makes a bit of smoke. The smoke does a little. The citronella does almost nothing extra. And those small black plastic boxes that plug in and promise to drive mosquitoes off with a sound too high to hear, they do not work. The studies are not kind to them. Save your money. A box fan moves more mosquitoes off you in a minute than a closet full of those gadgets will in a season. There is one real safety point here, and I will not skip it, because we are running electricity out in the wet night air, and that deserves respect. Use a fan that is rated to run outdoors or in a damp place, or else keep it up under a roof, a porch ceiling, or an eave, where the dew and the rain cannot reach the motor. Plug it into an outlet with a ground fault breaker, the kind with the little test and reset buttons, which is what stands between you and a shock if water ever does find the cord. Run the cord up off the wet grass, not through a puddle, and set the fan where a child or a dog cannot pull it down into a water trough or reach a finger past that screen into the blade. If you ever do miss the screen to finish off a stubborn one, a little rubbing alcohol in water will do it. But rubbing alcohol burns, so keep it away from the fire ring and the citronella you're no longer buying. Safety matters. I want to leave you with the bigger thing, because I think it is the part that matters most, more than any fan. My grandfather kept a smudge can going at the edge of the garden on the worst July evenings, a little tin of smoldering punkwood that hung a thin gray haze over the rows while we worked. He did not have a fan, and he did not have a spray truck. He had an understanding of the creature and a thing he could make with his own hands from what was lying around the place. I can still see him crouched at the row's end in the last light, tipping a coal into that can, the smoke curling up around the bean poles, and not one of us getting bitten as long as we stayed in the drift of it. He never called it science. He would have laughed at the word. But he knew that the mosquito hunted by the nose and that he could fool the nose, and that is the same knowledge sitting inside this fan, only now we have a different tool to carry it out. Understanding. And that is the whole inheritance, really. Not the smudge can, the understanding. A man who knows that a mosquito is a weak flyer chasing his breath does not lie awake at the mercy of an insect. And he does not wait on a truck, and he does not sign up for a refill. He looks at the cheap fan in the corner with new eyes, and he solves it himself before supper. A family that can make its own evening peaceful with $20 in 10 minutes is a family that needs no service plan, no monthly bill, no man in a marked shirt walking their property. The mosquito did not change in 100 years. We did. We were taught to reach for the catalog and the phone before we ever reached for what was already in the shed, and we forgot that the oldest answer to a weak flyer was simply a stronger wind. So here is what I want you to do, this very evening, while it is still light. 1. Find your box fan or buy one, $20, the metal-framed 20-inch kind. 2. Cut a square of window screen and fix it flat and tight over the sucking side, the back, with magnets or ties. 3. Set it low and in the shade, right by where you sit, blowing outward, and run it from dusk on through the evening. 4. If your yard is bad, tuck a little cup of sugar, water, and yeast behind that screen to do the breathing for you. And 5, the part that finishes the job, walk your place this weekend and pour out every cup of standing water you own. Then, tell me in the comments. What county are you sitting in, and how bad are your evenings on a scale from a few whiners to you cannot step outside? I read every one of these, and I learned the country by reading them. The folks in my community have known the weak flyer trick for longer than I have been alive. I am putting it here for the folks outside of it who were simply never told, who have been paying the truck and slapping their own faces and thinking there was no other way. Next time, I'm going to show you the bucket. A few cents of a thing I keep by the rain barrel turns a pail of standing water into a trap that kills the young mosquitoes before they ever grow wings to come find you, so you are not only killing the grown ones in the air, but ending them in the cradle. It is the natural next step after today. Kill the ones hunting you tonight with the fan, and then go drown the next generation in the water that made them. Until then, stay dry. And remember the people who built this country with their hands knew things. We are only just starting to remember.